I'm a Marvel.
And I'm a DC.
And this
is NFGeeks Superhero Special. Alright, well for today's episode, we're going to be talking about superheroes and the summer that we've had. You gotta admit, Noah, we've had a really super awesome superhero summer at the movies.
These
we actually
past few summers, honestly. But
yes.
More this summer.
Yeah, I think this summer might be the biggest for
both
of us. It was a pretty serious superhero for both DC and Marvel. And of course, I've talked about this before. I'm a fan, and this relates to the last video. I'm a DC, I'm into DC comics. Noah's into Marvel comics. Again, not on the same page, ever. Okay, but still, one thing we sort of had what I've been calling comic détente, meaning that's when we stopped. Before we had a comic Cold War. right, and now we went into like the détente where we just leave each other alone because we actually watched each other's movies the same amount of times and the same times. It was very peaceful. We had a good time at everyone's movie.
Well, I've just been watching Batman.
Yeah, well, no, but I went to the Avengers twice. I went to the all that, and so what I want to do is with you, and what I want to do is kind of do some Myers-Briggs interpretation, and I want to do interpretations of the movies and the characters, and then how we were involved with each of the movies and how it touched our Myers-Briggs stuff.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing, believe it or not, what I want to talk about is because this movie caught me off guard, and that was The Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, one more thing. Spoilers. Lots of spoilers coming up in this episode. So if you haven't watched any superhero movie this summer, shut us off.
Okay. Well, The Avengers has already been out, and like everyone's seen it. Spider-Man has also been out quite a while already, since the beginning of July. Maybe only spoiler for Batman.
I doubt it because everyone's seen that too. But just in case, there's always somebody who never got there. So
spoiler alert: it was all a dream.
Yeah, that's right. Spoiler alert: Batman is Bruce Wayne. All right.
Spoiler alert: Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
That's right.
And he's dating Mary Jane.
Yeah. No, he's not. Not in the new one.
Well, not in the new one, but
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna end up there, I bet you.
Of course it is. He shouldn't be with Mary Jane. Who else should he be with?
Kill that blonde.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for her to die.
That's horrible.
No way. Mary Jane is his soulmate.
Oh, her death. I bet you now her death is going to be horrible. It's going to be just like the comics.
Of course it's going to be horrible. It's going to be sad. It's going to be terrible. But then Mary Jane. Please, Mary Jane is prettier. She's a woman.
Their relationship is horrible.
Well, it's hard to be with Spider-Man. It's stressful. It's stressful to be with a superhero. None of their relationships really work out well.
Oh, but Spider-Man is so much worse.
Well, that's because he's a slacker. Okay, at least Bruce Wayne's got money.
All right, let's get back to what we were talking about.
Okay, so I want to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man because I was going into this. If you remember, I was very pessimistic. Because first of all, it looked like they were changing the backstory, and I hate when they do that. But they really didn't. Everything was there, the science, the spider, Uncle Ben, right? It was all in there. And
they just added more, really.
Yeah, they did. They sort of made it a little more complex, which was cool. But what I really liked about it is that, and even though it was just the standard, origin story of a superhero, it had an NF heart. I don't know if you saw it that way, but it kind of did. It kind of had this sort of deep emotional sort of love story, Peter Parker as an INFJ kind of...
hipster Spider-Man.
Yeah, hipster, but an INFJ hipster, Spider-Man. That kind of had a heart to it that even the other movies did not have. Even Batman and the Avengers did not have that heart. So did you sense that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did it seem alien to you? Did you like it?
No,
Did you not like it?
I liked it, of course. Actiony and hilarious.
Mm-hmm. But also emotional.
Yeah.
It was more emotional than I expected it to be, and sweet. And bittersweet, too.
Such as the ending.
Yes. What do you think about, so the relationship in this movie is Gwen Stacy, right? And, did I say it right?
Yeah,
Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker.
Hard to get her screw up her name. It's 2 first names.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I'm kind of I'm still on Mary Jane, that's why. So, how do you feel about that relationship? It's a very sort of first love, NF relationship kind of thing.
Right. I don't know. I can't really tell what Gwen Stacy's Myers-Briggs is.
Ah. Well, I think...
But, do you think that Spider-Man in this movie was much more like an INFJ?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. He even looks like an INFJ.
In the comics,
he looks like Dave. Dave of NFGeeks. If you look at Dave of NFGeeks and you look at Spider-Man in that movie, they look like this. It's like Dave as Spider-Man.
I know, that's the joke I made, like, when we first went in.
If I know, it was funny.
Anyways, because in the comics and stuff, and, like, even the first three trilogies way back in the early 2000s, he's presented more as an SP than he is an NF.
Yes, that's right.
An ISTP, I believe.
Possibly, or an ISFP. But I actually like him better, obviously, because I'm an NF. But I like him better as an NF. And he still could be sort of not have his shit together, because NFs sometimes don't have their shit together. So it's fine that he's sort of all over the place for me. But I don't know if an INFJ would actually be a superhero, if they have what it takes to be a superhero, because they get annoyed easily.
About everything.
Yeah, well, they get easily annoyed too. You know, even at the people they're trying to save. You know, why did you get on the train anyway? You know, I can see that. But I like that there's sort of a deep soulfulness to this Peter Parker that even Tobey Maguire, who was probably a better actor, didn't have. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man didn't seem deep. This Spider-Man seems deep, like he's a deep kid. Mm. Do you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So let's move on to the Avengers. Okay. So, yes, you had... So first, let's talk about your reaction to the Avengers.
It was spectacular.
Yeah, you loved it.
Okay, what I said to people who hadn't watched it yet, was that if you're not mesmerized by the intense, crazy action, you're laughing your ass off, and that's actually completely freaking true.
Yeah, that's right. I felt I had a good ride with the Avengers. It was like a good roller coaster.
Right.
You know? Like, the funny thing I was thinking about, the difference between the Avengers and the Dark Knight Rises is that when you leave the Avengers, you feel entertained and happy. And in the Dark Knight Rises, you feel, wow, I just watched an amazing movie. But you're not happy. You kind of leave a little exhausted.
Well, you kind of leave happy, but you remember everything that just happened before you were happy, and you're like, I'm trying to be happy, but it's pulling me down.
Yeah, that's right. It's the Dark Knight Rises, but you don't. You know. So that's true about the Avengers. And I was thinking, okay, what's NT, what's NF in the Avengers? And it occurred to me that, we can talk...
By the way, I do want to point out, they got the Myers-Briggs for each one of the Avengers, and really all the characters pretty right.
Okay, let's go to that then. So start anywhere you want, and we'll talk about their Myers-Briggs.
Okay. Well, this is something I believe that I'm guessing Myers-Briggs nerds kind of get, or maybe just me, but about Tony Stark... whether he's an NT or an SP.
Yes.
His attitude towards life and everything he does seems very SP, but then again, he does create all this technology and all this...
Which seems very NT. Okay, I've actually thought about this.
But again, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in those movies was awesome.
Sure. And one of the things that happens that gets tough with these movies is that the Myers-Briggs of the actors kind of comes through. So... whatever the Myers-Briggs of the actors is, sometimes gets mixed up with the character. So, like, part of the problem might be, what is Robert Downey Jr.'s stuff that's coming through?
Probably SP.
You think he's an SP? So I think he's an NF.
Really?
Yeah. He's kind
Didn't
of
he do all that, like...
NF's 2 drugs.
No.
Yeah. So, alright, so if Tony Stark was an NT... Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I think he has a deep side, yes. Because he's able to do lots of different roles, and I actually think he might be an ENFP, believe it or not.
Jeez.
Yeah, gone wrong, but still. The irony.
He got better, honestly. Like he's.
Oh yeah, for now, but okay. But you know what was the irony of that? Is that your grandmother loved him.
Really?
Yeah, she liked Bad Boys. She did. She liked all the actors.
Like when he was being a bad boy?
Yes. When he was like a total drug addict. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Your grandmother was bananas.
Well, she's an SJ and an SFJ, so she might have thought she could, an SJ, some weird...
Right, try to change him and let her love him. Yeah, that works.
Okay.
All right, if Tony Stark was an NT, so let's assume he's an NT, because he's doing all this technology. I would say he's probably an ENTP. He seems extroverted. He seems to be an inventor.
Yeah.
He's inventing everything out of nothing.
Yeah, but ENTPs are kind of known for their things inventing and maybe going right or wrong.
True, but I
and
think
his stuff usually a lot of the time goes right.
sure, and that's why. Well, first of all, we're talking about an ideal image. We're not
Right.
talking. We're talking about a real
I'm
person.
adding
Right.
that.
I agree. No, I totally agree with that. And if this was real technology, there would be a lot of false starts. Well, you could see though the first Iron Man suit as a false start. The very
The
first
big
one he
clunky
does.
one?
Yeah. Yes. Which I like though. I like that one.
And all the tests in the first movie.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I think the perceiving side, he's not really a judger. So, there's no like right or wrong. He's trying to do good.
Though.
Right, and that's a P. I think that's a P thing. P's want to help people, or not necessarily help people. P's want to do good, but they don't necessarily care about right and wrong.
Okay.
In terms of rules, because I'm kind of like that too. So I would say, Mike, if he's an NT, I'm going to give him ENTP. All right, who else?
All right. Captain America.
Go ahead.
What? I'm not freaking out about it.
No, I know, but this is like...
Captain America...
Like, you dream of Captain America.
Every SJ dreams.
Of course he does. So what is Captain America?
He's an ESTJ in the comics.
Yes.
In this one, he doesn't seem as ESTJ. He does seem like an SJ, though. Oh. Like that line.
Yes. There's a line in the Avengers.
that he loves.
Yes. So Noah and I are watching the Avengers for the first time. And it's a serious scene. This is when the superheroes are starting to fight.
No. It's this. It's before this,
right?
And it's just between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers.
Right, and Steve Rogers says orders were meant to be followed. Right.
Right, and
I started, and it's a serious scene. I started cracking up laughing. I'm the only person in the theater laughing because I thought, oh yeah, SJ. Yeah. That's an SJ.
And after
dream.
watching the Captain America movie, he did not seem ESTJ. He seemed SJ, but he did not seem ESTJ.
Well, what do you think he was? What do you think he is in the movies? He seems a little introverted more. It doesn't seem as extroverted.
He seemed a little introverted. He was not on top of that relationship with that chick. He was not like the guiding it as an E. He was much more I in it, and he wasn't that T.
So you're thinking ISFJ?
A little, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see him being... And also, he immediate reacts. There's immediate reactions. And ISFJs are very immediate reactions. ISTJ are slow reactions.
Yeah, but they got the SJ right, which, to be honest, is one of the major things.
Yeah, absolutely. He is like the SJ dreamboat. It's the SJ you all wish you were. Like, you'd wear that outfit. If you could wear that outfit all the time and have that shield...
If we had that outfit, we'd get an instant boner.
Yeah, absolutely. You sure would. Yeah. All right, so how about... Now, here's an interesting one. What do you think Thor is?
I think... Okay, after watching the first movie, honestly, I think he's an SP.
Sure. I think he might be an ISTP. That's what I think he is.
Yeah, he seems like an SP.
Yes. But I think...
He seems very Viking, too, and all that. Or whatever Norse.
Right. Well, he is supposed to be a Norse god. Yeah. So I think he's an... I would say he's probably an ISTP. Bruce Banner...
is an INTJ.
Yeah.
But the Hulk is an ESFP, his opposite.
Yeah, that's true. And that makes sense.
That's what I just want to say this, and you probably thought of this.
He's not as funny, though.
Oh, yeah. But, like, this is not from watching the movie, but, like, way before when I was into the comics, I was just thinking about it, and I'm in the shower thinking about it. Don't know why, but I was just thinking about it in the shower, and I come to the realization that after recently getting into Myers-Briggs, I come to the realization that Bruce Banner is an INTJ, and there's no other thing the Hulk could be than an ESFP.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I come downstairs to you and Dave, and I tell you that, and I feel so glad that I thought of it.
Yes, and I actually completely agree that that's what's going on. And only an INTJ would think, wow, I'm having these great experiments with gamma rays. Let me do it to myself.
Okay, well, that's the Bill Bixby storyline. That's the whole Bill Bixby story. And the other one...
You know what I love in the Bill Bixby one? He's in that chair, and he's scanning himself. Like, it looks like he's beaming the camera rays, like, right into his face. Like, right into between his eyes.
But you mean in the beginning? The Incredible Hulk? Like
yeah,
the movie? The 2008 one?
No. In the Bill Bixby show, when they're doing the opening, they say David Bruce Banner, and you see him in a chair with and it has like some kind of light beaming right into his head. You know what I mean, right? When he does that, it's like he's beaming the gamma rays right at himself. Which
let me try this.
Yeah, this will be a great idea.
Yeah.
And what I like about him in the Avengers is that he does seem very introverted. He comes off as introverted.
Oh yeah, he definitely does.
Which is great. And it makes sense at the end that if we say that Tony Stark is an ENTP, then it makes sense that he's an INTJ because they kind of hit it off.
Yeah, they did.
You know
like
what I mean?
that.
And they have that balance with each other, you know, and that makes sense to me too. So if we assume that he's an ENTP, then it makes sense that he would pal around with the INTJ.